Hi guys. So it has been quite a while. I do sound a little hoarse today. I kind of woke up with a sore throat today. Is what it is. Allergy season's changing. It is almost back to school time. I know. Crazy. And I know that you're all probably wondering, what is with all these pictures of baked goods? And I've actually lost quite a few subscribers since I started posting them. Well, I have decided to start my own little baking business from home. So I got my food handler's certificate, which is required in my state. I haven't started selling yet. I'm more working on recipes. So what you're seeing is the recipes I've been working on. Now, am I trying them? Yes, of course I am. Am I going crazy on them? There have been moments. There have been moments that I was like, wow, this is really good. But for the most part, no. What I'm doing is we're popping them in the freezer and then we just pull them out whenever somebody feels like a cookie or brownie or bread, whatever it is. So the one thing I have been going the craziest over is an artisan bread. There's no sugar in it. But of course there's still flour, so that's still carbs. But man, that thing is delicious and it does not raise my sugar the way normal bread would. Now I do still do my keto bread. A lot of people, I don't think, understood my one community post where I shared pictures of baked goods. And then I said something like, at the end of the day, this is still the best breakfast for me. And that breakfast was perfectly keto. And that's exactly what I meant. The best breakfast for me is still keto, at the very least keto. So am I keto or carnivore? No, I would not say that I am keto. I would not say that I am carnivore, definitely right now. I'm definitely trying the products I'm making because how else would I know to adjust or if they're even any good? And let me tell you, there have been some duds along the way. Yeah, there have been some duds along the way. For the most part, I should just stick to my recipes. I'm doing some research and so I'm trying some new recipes, some other people's recipes, tweaking them. But for the most part, my tried and true ones are better than what I'm experimenting on. So my husband's advice was just stick to yours. So I may do that for the most part anyway. One of the things I want to work on are cinnamon rolls. I do think that would be a bit more difficult for me to control myself with, which is probably why I've put off making them. Now, for those of you who may not be aware, I did go to culinary school. I did not finish culinary school. I had to have a surgery. And by the time I went back, I actually went back for something else. So I did not finish, but I did learn a lot while I was there. And I was pretty close to finishing. I had one more semester to go. So I'm pretty good at cooking. I'm pretty good at baking. My daughter loves to bake. So I figured this was the perfect summer to do a lot of baking with her. And we did. We've done a lot of baking. We've done bread. We've done cookies. We've done cakes. We've done brownies. We've done all kinds of things this summer. But it's been a good bonding experience, a good teaching experience for her. It's important to measure your dry ingredients. That matters in baking, but not so much in cooking. You know, you can toss in here and there in cooking. Baking's a lot more scientific and you need to measure. So, like I said, it's been a good learning experience, a good bonding experience. We've had a lot of fun. Am I still losing weight? Yes, but I'm up and down. I'll go down a couple pounds, I'll go back up a couple pounds. So I'm basically, I've lost a little weight, but I'm staying right there. I've maybe lost, I would say maybe 7 pounds over the summer. And I'm kind of maintaining that. But I'm eating baked goods, and carbs. So I'm not surprised that it's not just plummeting down. It is what it is. This is the point I'm at in my life right now. Will I ever go back to keto? Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. Will I go back to carnivore? That one's a little tougher. I'd like to. In theory, I'd like to be doing that right now. In practicality, probably not. I love vegetables. I don't see them as a poison to me. So probably not. But am I going to go crazy over them? Maybe in the summer when they're at their highest, freshest. And I can get them at produce stands and things, farmers markets. But even this summer, I haven't done that. I haven't. For the most part, it's just been our normal meals. I was doing better before I started all the baking. Not because of the baked goods, but because before I started all the baking, I was prepping breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Guys, I'm sorry. I had to clear up some space to keep recording. It doesn't matter what I do. It is never enough space on my phone. I record on my phone, never enough space. Also, I don't think I had my ring light on for the last part. So if you see a lighting change or an angle change, yeah, I'm not used to this anymore, I guess. I'm sorry, I do apologize. But the ring light's on, so, the little ring in my glasses can annoy you now. But I don't even know what I was talking about. Oh, meal prep. So I was doing better when I was prepping those meals. They were portion controlled. And I just haven't been doing those because I've been playing with recipes and everything. So, sorry, I got a message. So I need to get back into that. Like I said, summer's almost over. She goes back to school next week. In fact, she is at orientation right now, which is why I'm making the video, because it's quiet. It's quiet in here. The cat and the dog are asleep. Hubby and daughter are at orientation. She has her first soccer practice for this season tonight. So I'll be going to that with them. So that is where we are. So let's talk about my mobility or lack thereof. I started the summer with high hopes. I wanted to walk every day. I wanted to build up stamina. Yeah, y'all, that didn't happen. It needs to happen. It still needs to happen, but it did not happen. And part of the reason it did not happen is because I would like a nice, secluded place to walk so that when I'm going, like there's not an audience. And I know that you might be, do it anyway, you'll build up. And that's true. I will. But y'all, people look at me like I'm dying when they hear me breathing. And I don't have to be walking to do that. So yeah, I'd like to avoid that audience. And let's talk about avoidance for a moment. So I have noticed in myself, and I believe anyway, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it is my belief that if you are obese the way I am, that it starts messing with you mentally. And what I mean by that is like, you get anxiety if you haven't had anxiety. You may get depressed if you aren't depressed. You may become a recluse or secluded, stay at home more. You don't really want to be the center of attention. And I've never wanted to be the center of attention, so that is not odd. your self-esteem may be less than it normally would be. And let's talk about what I've noticed in me. So there are places I would normally go that I'm avoiding. Not like me at all. I am avoiding them because of my size. Now, when I say that, what I mean is I may be concerned about the chairs, or I'm always concerned about the distance, the walk from point A to point B, how long I may have to stand, how long I may have to walk, how long I may have to stand is very real. And while I try not to let these things affect me, I've noticed that they are starting to affect me more. And I need to deal with that because I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with avoiding things that I love and would not miss for the world normally because of these things. Because of my breathing, because of my inability to stand for a long time, because of my inability to walk for a long distance. Let me just give you an example. There has been a current tent revival about an hour away from me of a person, y'all, I would love to go listen to. Love to go listen to. Just a little over an hour away from me. And I'm concerned about the chairs. But y'all, I can take my own chair, okay? I can take my own lawn chair, just like the one I take for soccer. I can take that, and I'm fine. I can make the walk, I'm positive. It can't be that far from the parking lot, but it's thought in my head, just like the chairs were a thought in my head. But the other thought in my head is when they do an altar call, or they say, everybody come up, form a line. If you need prayer, come up, okay? Physically, I would not be able to do that. And I do not ever want to be disrespectful to the Lord, to the Holy Spirit, to the movement of the Holy Spirit. And I also don't want to be perceived as disrespectful to those things. So that has 100% kept me away all week. Now, it is my understanding that he will be returning around May, which is a very long time. My goal is to be able to go without that worry and that fear. And I'm not a person who would normally give in to worry and fear. I heard someone, I wish I knew her name. You know, she does, I believe, TikTok videos, but you know how they'll come through on Facebook. And she said that when you worry, it means you aren't fully trusting God. And y'all, she's 100% right. That is exactly what that means. So I don't typically give into that. I don't like to give into that. Today would be the last day that I would be able to go to that revival. But I cannot because my daughter has her practice. It's her first practice. We've already said she'd be there. And if we went, we would be late, which I also don't like being. And I also don't want to be the center of attention. So if I show up late, you know, people may turn and look and it might be more noticeable. which I would not want. So I'm definitely not a center of attention person. So my goal to get from where I am now to there is to actually start walking and moving my body. I don't know how at this point to get to walking outside around other people. Y'all, I used to go to the gym. I loved going to the gym. It never bothered me. And there were people full there. Full. It was a full gym. Never bothered me. Loved going. In fact, I felt my best. I felt alive. And now I don't even want to walk in public because I don't want people to see me breathing heavy, which I would be doing. I also couldn't make it that far. And I don't know of a place where benches are close enough that I can maybe walk from one bench to the next, maybe eventually skip a bench. I have to build up stamina. So that only leaves working out in the home for now. So I need to do some research, try to find some in-home videos that will help me build up stamina. I know there are chair exercises and lifting hand weights and things like that. And those things are great, and I need to do them too. But I also want to make sure that I'm building up strength and stamina in my legs and with standing, and that I'm actively losing weight, not just the up and down and maintaining. I'm thankful that, I lost a little and I've been able to maintain, even though I'm experimenting. And I foresee me continuing to experiment. Fall is coming. That's fall baked goods. I need to start experimenting on them. My goal is to start actively selling at a farmer's market next year. So anything I sell between now and then would be done online, friends, family, people who want to do orders. So that's not going to be, at least as far as I think, as numerous as it will be in the summer next year. So that is my goal and my plan. But y'all, I also need to be able to have stamina to do the farmer's market, right? So one of the reasons I started baking the bread is because I noticed I was losing strength in my hands. Trying to turn a lid, it wouldn't want to open, and it just seemed like it was taking a lot of effort. So kneading the dough is a very good workout, and that worked. It worked right away. And it also, you need to stand to do that. So that helps with that. But I am not where I need to be, not even close. I have goals, I have dreams, but it's kind of time to stop dreaming and start doing. So that is what I'm trying to figure out right now. Will that involve keto? Most likely, absolutely. That being said, I do also still need to bake and test recipes. That puts a little wrench in the keto thing. However, I do also want to try to start coming up with keto recipes as well. Because y'all, I'm not the only one out there who should not have the sugar and the carbs. So I'm also going to start working on that as well. And that should help too. It's way past time for a change. It's just way past time for a change. I feel it. I feel it. I feel it in my spirit that it's time to get a hold of this and get a grasp of this. Because we don't know what tomorrow holds. And we should be as physically fit as we can be. We just should be. And I am not. And I need to be. So that is my goal. My sleep is way off schedule again. My daughter's sleep is off schedule again. I'm a night owl. Always been a night owl. She's worse than me. So, summer's coming to an end, and trying to get us both back on a normal sleep schedule has been next to impossible. We'll go to sleep, and then an hour or two, we're both up. It is what it is. It is what it is. We're working on it. Summer's fun, but there's a lot to be said for routine. Also, let's talk about the job. So the job I had, I no longer have. And there are reasons for that. And I was going to try to go back, but they are currently laying off people. So if I were still, or would have still been there, I would have been most likely one of the people laid off anyway. But I'm kind of waiting it out. So I am not working there right now. I do have an open invitation when I want to come back, to email the HR person directly so that I can indeed go back. But this is not the time when they're doing layoffs. They've already done a round, and there's rumors of a couple more rounds. So I'm waiting that out. Yeah, I'm going to wait that out. So hence the bread idea, right? Still some income, still on my own basis, something I absolutely love to do. In fact, at one point, I wanted to open my own bakery. So, and my daughter has mentioned her opening her own someday. So this is definitely something that I enjoy doing. She enjoys doing, she enjoys helping with, and she enjoys helping with the ideas with. So yeah, we're having a lot of fun with that. This is becoming a long video. I apologize for that. But if you have suggestions, leave them below. If you have suggestions on how I can build up my stamina, that would be amazing. If you have recipe ideas that I could incorporate into my meal prep to get me back on track, also would be great. It was working really well when I was using the portion controlled containers and popping them in the freezer, because all I had to do was pull them out and reheat. It was great. And my family always had something too. And now we're back to the, what are we going to have? What's convenient? And usually what's convenient is eating out, which we don't want to be doing. In fact, we have eaten out a couple times, and both my daughter and I have not felt well afterwards because we were no longer used to that. Even though we were eating carbs, we were used to eating at home all the time. Everything was homemade, made from scratch, even baked goods made from scratch with minimal ingredients. So it affected us. Now it's getting a little easier to adapt to the eating out. So definitely doing it too much. We got to get back on track. So that is my plan. I don't know exactly how I'm going to incorporate it, but I'd love to get back to the point where I could go back to the gym and feel comfortable and confident. And I don't right now. I've always been a very confident person. Even if I'm uncomfortable, I've been confident. And lately, I don't feel that way because I'm not that way anymore. And I don't like that. I don't. That's not who I want to be. That's not who I want my daughter to be. And that's not who I want her to see me be. I don't want her to see me not doing things because I'm worried about people seeing me breathe, or because I'm worried about the chairs, or because I'm worried about the walk, or because I'm worried about how long I'll have to stand. Other people's opinions of me really don't matter to me. They really have nothing to do with me. But at the same time, I don't want them to be on their phone calling 911 because they think I'm about to kill over because I'm breathing heavy. You know what I mean? I also don't want them to perceive me as being disrespectful to the Lord or the Holy Spirit, because I would never, ever intentionally ever do that. So, and to be fair and to be honest, I personally would not see somebody coming late or see somebody sitting or not walking up and standing as being disrespectful. But in my mind, that's how they're going to perceive me. Do you see what I'm saying? If I can be real for a moment, it's a lie straight from the pit of hell. It just is. It's a lie from the devil. It's not reality, but it's still there for me. Something I need to work on, something I am working on, but I have a lot to work on along the way. And for me, it is now evolved into a total process, spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. It encompasses everything for me now. So, are you going to see good pictures? Yes. Are you going to see me baking them? Probably not, unless they're keto or carnivore or something like that. I have another channel that I've started for the bakery, and that is where I would post those videos when I start doing them. I'm not doing them right now because, first of all, I need to build up stamina. When I'm working in the kitchen, I am sitting in between. I am sitting and loading the dishwasher. It's my daughter's job to unload, so I don't do that. It's one of her chores. If I'm cooking, for the most part, I'm sitting because I cannot stand and do those things anymore. And it's been that way for a while. So I need to find a way to get back to where I can. It would be amazing to be able to be in the kitchen and cook a meal start to finish and not have to sit. Or do the dishwasher and not have to sit. Y'all, that would be amazing. It'd be faster too. It just would be. So, yes, there are issues, many of which I've talked about before, a lot of which I haven't before. But there is a whole emotional side, a whole mental side that doesn't get talked about when you're obese. About how you're more anxious, about how you may start getting depressed. I'm not depressed. I'm not a person who typically gets depressed, but I've definitely had moments of anxiety that are directly related to the obesity, for sure. I get anxious over things I would normally not even consider as a stumbling block or something that would make me anxious. Like the chairs or the walk or the standing. It may be a low level of anxiety, but it's still there. I still notice it. Am I mentioning these things to my daughter or in her presence? No. Because I don't want her. And now that I say that, she may watch this video. But I don't want her to see me that way. And I don't want her to be that way. I want her to be strong and confident and successful at everything she does. And to go for her dreams. But I also want me to do those things. You know? So, at this point, it is what it is. But I don't want it to be this way next year. And it's going to be if I don't start making changes. All right, y'all. I have been rambling on and on and on. So I'm going to let you go. I honestly just wanted to come on and explain the whole baked goods thing, and it turned into all of this. Go figure. But please do leave suggestions. If you have meal prep recipe ideas, keto, carnivore, listen, I'll take them, because sometimes I eat both ways. Sometimes I eat the standard American diet. But if I do, I would prefer it to be keto. And if I'm eating the standard American diet, I would prefer it to be a lot more portion controlled. So that's where I am and where I've been. I'm doing okay, but I'm dealing with some things. And they are 110 million% because of obesity. That's just the truth. And I know that I cannot be alone in this. I know that there are other people who are obese, who are dealing with anxiety, maybe depression, maybe unrealistic fears, maybe concerns over how people see them or may think of them, and they aren't talking about it. Guess it's time to talk about it, huh? Because I know I'm not alone. I can't be alone. All right, guys. Y'all have a blessed day. And I will see you next time. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell. It just notifies you whenever I upload a video. I hope you all have a blessed day. And leave those comments. Give me some ideas. Workout exercises. Anything. All right, guys. Bye.